episode 2 of Moon Knight dropped. And before we kind of get into 2, I talked about 1 last week. And I will say I'm still confused by the show because I'm not into the comics of this particular character. I'm not familiar with this character besides the general idea of him being the MCU's version of Batman. But I'm intrigued by what I've seen so far in this show. What have you seen from it, and what's kind of your thoughts on Moon Knight so far?
Man, so I too was unfamiliar with the character, but I did some very thorough research. I did some very thorough research back in January and in February. That is until my app that I was using to read comic books no longer decided to work. So I got through a decent amount of issues, and the worst thing about it was I have a number of sources of comic book reading friends, and I got a good list of like 15, about 15 or so comics and graphic novels to go over. And instead of me going by the list from 1 to 15, like the best one to the worst one out of
You
the
went in
15,
alphabetical order.
I went in the order in which they were released. So I got through, like, I was in the 80s, bro. And it didn't start. I mean, obviously, it was still good content, of course, an original story, but I didn't get into the 90s, which a lot of good stuff happened. A lot of good runs were happening.
And a lot of inspiration
Essentially,
for what the MCU is doing
yes,
now. Yeah.
yes. So first off, I like the way they're going with it. The source material is there. It's not 100%. From the it's not 100% pulled from the early runs. So they're Mark Spector in one of the early runs of Moonlight. Mark Spector was, of course, a mercenary, a hired hitman type of deal. Of course, after he gained the power, of the power of Khonshu through this superhero or anti-hero called Moon Knight, he of course retired back to his home back in New York, and he was his other alter ego, or at the time it was just an identity or an alias to protect his investment because he was a millionaire. This guy that we have now, the lead role that we have now, the main guy that we see, he in that particular run was a millionaire. So there was spoiler alert, in the comics there was a third personality or a third alias. The third alias, of course, was he was like a cab driver, I guess now would probably be they'd probably make it like an Uber driver or something like that. But he was a cab driver. Jake Lockley, I believe his name was. Reminded me of Jake Locker. I was like, his name wasn't Jake Locker.
Oh
It's like
yeah.
Jake Lockley. But yeah. So I don't know if they're going to do that. It would be cool if they do that. Do that. But so far, I'm impressed, man. Ethan Hawke is acting his ass off. So is Isaac. Isaac's doing his thing too. Like, it's a new thing for Disney because we haven't seen anything like this from the Disney side of Marvel.
Yeah.
We've seen things from their produced and funded by Marvel Studios, but we haven't seen anything directly with the receipts coming from Marvel Studios as an entity, or Disney as an entity. So this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm in for the ride. I'm enjoying it, and
I kind of feel like that. Like I'm glad you've did research on it, and I told myself I'm gonna do the opposite and not, and still try to.
going
I
blind.
know, and still try to see how my experience or because I'm still confused at some points, but that doesn't mean I don't like it. Like some people can
Right.
confuse being confused with not actually liking the show, but I
Uh,
like how they're diving into the mental health aspect of it and how they're talking about Egyptian culture and things of that nature. Like seems like when we go into episode 3, he's in Egypt now, and so we'll see the Egypt part of this story and how that unfolds. And I'm sure you've seen a lot through the comics that you've read on Moon
yeah.
Knight. And episode 2 kind of for me was kind of like a mirror of episode 1 because with the Stephen Grant character, he's still trying to fight whatever's going on with him and Mark Spector, the aspect of things. And it seems like it's trying to build what we saw in episode 1, and which eventually ends with Mark Spector actually taking over, and he's in control now. And so we kind of see Khonshu more of a presence of Khonshu in this one, and him battling against Arthur Harrow, which is Ethan Hawke's character, and kind of figuring out what we learned in this episode, that Ethan Hawke's character Arthur was previously a avatar for Khonshu. And at first it seems like it's hard to kind of figure out, and we may see this in the next few episodes, who is, like, I don't want to say good guy, bad guy, because Mark Spector's character seems to not want to be a part of Khonshu, like not working, like he's just doing this as a means to an end of trying to get out of it.
Right.
Like, and we see Arthur kind of playing that, hey, Khonshu is not all what he seems to be.
He's
like
not who you
I
think
was
he is.
Right. And like as sitting there as an audience person or audience, like watching this, you're like, all right, so is Arthur really the bad guy here? Is Khonshu really the bad guy here? Like he's like, they're both playing with Mark, like on that spectrum. Did you kind of feel that way too?
So here's the thing. Anytime you have a level-headed cult leader, red flag immediately. Anytime there's a cult involved, red flag. But when you have a level-headed, even keeled, enthusiastic, nice, utopian-esque like cult leader, super red flag. So
David Koresh-ish.
Yeah. So Buddy already started off on the wrong foot. I mean, just to give a little bit more backstory, aside from our boy Jake, aka Ethan Hawke's character Arthur, being a crazy person because
it's crazy that he played that role, man.
He hasn't, Drake
range. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, you good. He has an obsession with pain. Now, some of the comics that I was able to get to, they went into some pretty good detail, and hopefully they touch more upon it as to why he has that obsession with pain. It's kind of cool. Yeah, they might get to tie it back to Captain America, which is another cool thing, or just the Super Soldier program in general. Hopefully they do. If not, I get it. But I knew from the jump, like, yeah, he ain't worth anything. Now, obviously, Mark Spector has
first scene of episode 1, homie stepping on glass, bro. Like
facts. Yeah, so it's like, no, something wrong with you, bro. But anywho, Mark has his own demons as well. But there is a side to Mark that we can trust and understand that there is a little bit of good left in him that doesn't negate or wipe out or excuse or any of the bad that he's done. But we're going to see some things about his character. One thing that I do find interesting is with Steven is tracking him going through the 5 stages of grief, or just going through stages of grief. Like him, of course, obviously denying that this whole thing happened. He knows that there's some realism to another part of him being awake when his conscience is, obviously taking a back seat. Like he knows that. But we haven't seen him go through any anger per se. Of course, he was upset and mad at Mark for Mark doing what he did and endangering lives and doing just
we might see more anger in the next episode because he's trapped now.
Right. But we've seen him bargaining with Mark. We've seen him bargaining with Khonshu. Essentially, we've seen him bargaining or attempting to bargain with Arthur. We haven't seen a depressive side, but I'm sure we're going to, there will venture into that, but I think there is some acceptance. There is a little bit of acceptance when him, he's trapped in the little mirror dimension. And then of course, when he turns into Mr. Knight, I think there's like, okay, I get it. this is real. I think that's part
Yeah.
of his acceptance. But it'll be interesting to see them go through and travel through that model,
Yeah.
the grief background or the
Yeah.
model of grief. So it's cool. Um, how did you feel? What was the part of the show that's like, okay, I can see this tying into the MCU. I can see this tying into something else with the MCU. What part was that for you? Like what
You
specific
have you seen
scene or
that part
event?
yet?
What part?
No, like you. Do you have an answer to this question?
Oh, no, I'm just no. I mean, I'm gonna make it up as I go, obviously. But
Because the only part, like, I haven't seen any specific like storyline ties.
uh
Um, and maybe they're doing that purposely, which it might tie. I feel like there might be a tie-in towards the end of what we think might happen because we know the Midnight Suns is a thing, like with
right,
Moon Knight, Blade, Doctor Strange, that kind of thing. But I will go back to. I will make it more like a similarity kind of tie where Arthur's
okay,
character, we see the color of his power is purple, and we've seen that with what characters? We've seen that with Thanos, right? Thanos, did he have
mm,
like the purple magic? He didn't really. He just had it with the Power Stone, but we saw
right,
purple with Agatha Harkness in WandaVision,
mm.
which
Zemo too.
she right, and so that's I don't know if that's a connection there, and like the MCU loves to play like kind of tie-in games and stuff,
Symbolism.
but I think the
Yeah,
purple could be significant in the fact that it can come from whatever dimension that Agatha Harkness gets her power, the dark hole. I don't know. I'm not very well versed in that, but I think it's interesting that purple. It looks like the same purple that we saw in
you might be
WandaVision
onto
with
something.
Agatha. Yeah.
Rap with me here.
Okay.
Purple is often used as a symbol of royalty. Purple and gold, at least. And we know Thanos, he himself considered himself to be a messiah of sorts, to try to bring balance to the world. Agatha, of course,
And the Power
I
Stone is
don't, I don't know.
purple, right?
True,
Wasn't the Power
yes,
Stone
that
purple?
is true.
So
Yeah,
I
it
don't know,
was. And
man.
then, of course,
Yeah.
Arthur. Arthur, I mean, he's a freaking leader of a cult and God knows where. So there is some level of him thinking he is above and beyond, or and people. So
Yeah.
there might be an element of royalty there as well. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good.
Yeah.
Me
That's
personally, I haven't been able to tie anything with the MCU, but I think that's the
me
beauty of
either.
it. Getting to, especially the second watch, because I watched the first episode twice already. I've only watched the second. I watched the first episode twice. I haven't watched the second episode twice yet, but that's the beauty
Same.
of it. Just being able to let your imagination run wild, and just think about what kind of things you can conjure up. Because who the hell knows where we're gonna go with? Because I believe Isaac, he's only signed up for this one season, and he wanted to see how it plays out with the fans. Like if fans
Yeah.
can get
It
with it, then
it's
he'll be back.
it's
But
only behind WandaVision and Loki as far as the viewership on Disney Plus as far as MCU
mhm,
shows, which surprised the hell out of me because like out of all those like if you put all those characters on the screen in front of each other, nobody knows about Moon Knight, like the general mass
right,
audience, and for this show to have like leading or in third as far as the viewership goes compared to those other MCU shows is pretty
it's
incredible.
remember with the Guardians of the Galaxy though too. Little to no people knew about those guys. You
Yeah,
could put them
yeah,
up when they first dropped trailers, but you could put those guys up next to a bunch of B level, even C level, C list type of characters, and nobody would know who they were. And now
hmm
they are a household name. So
yeah.
this could be a gateway for Moon Knight, to get in the forefront. And who knows? What I know, the inspiration or the effect that Moon Knight will have on people, we are going to see in the coming weeks, if not coming months, if not the coming year, uh, tons of fraternities using Moon Knight or Mister Mister Knight. Mister
Halloween
Knight's costume
costumes.
is the yeah. Mister Knight's
Well,
costume is
at
as
the
their probate. It's their
did you?
probate
Oh
attire.
yeah,
So
that's a fact. That's a fact.
yeah,
That's a fact.
You see that?
Oh, did you?
You see that? Mr. Knight looked like he was,
Yeah,
he was
smooth.
He was smooth.
Did
What do
you
you call
see?
him? Khonshu called him he said a psycho Colonel Sanders or something like
Yeah.
that. So yeah.
Oh, that was Mark called him that.
Was it Mark? Okay,
Yeah.
Mark called him. Okay, my bad. I thought it was. I recalled it differently. My bad.
Did you see the Disneyland Avengers campus? They already got a Moon Knight guy out there.
Damn, already?
Already, bro.
It's in motion. It's in motion. Yeah.
So
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I have to take a look at that.
Yeah. So yeah, Moon Knight episode 2 in the books. Make sure you guys check that out. Episode 3, of course, will be dropping on Wednesday, and Dane and I will talk about that.